Now, before I talk about this week's Raw, make sure you check out the information in the description box. There's the links to my OTRSCentral podcasts that are done every Wednesday and Sunday night, so make sure you check those out. The new OTRSCentral Facebook page, make sure you give it a like. And the show's Twitter handle, make sure you give me a follow on Twitter. I promise you won't regret it. Now, this week's Raw, to me, was a perfect example of how a show on the road to WrestleMania should be done. It hit on all the key points that it needed to, and it was a lot of damn fun along the way. This was a very easy 3-hour show to sit through, no question about it. One of the better Raws I've seen in a little while now. It wasn't just 1 or 2 segments that carried it. This whole show, for the most part, was really, really damn good. And it all started off, to me, with the beginning of the show. God kind of got the jobber entrance, which surprised me just a little bit. But he starts talking. Orton starts talking. Batista starts talking. And all of a sudden, yeah, I know Batista came out first. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is it was 3 of the key critical members of the Breakfast Club sitting there trying to out-bury each other on the fucking mic. This is incredible. You want to talk about something you could get full pay-per-view price from me for? How about giving me an opportunity to watch a creative meeting involving these 3? Holy shit. Triple H is trying to bury them both. Batista's trying to bury them both. Orton's trying to bury them both. Outstanding stuff. And then the whole stipulation being announced by Triple H that there's going to be a triple threat no matter what at WrestleMania 30. And it's either going to be Daniel Bryan or it's going to be Triple H. Praise God. Ugh. And what it did was it eliminated the predictability of that Daniel Bryan-Triple H match. Because now with it involving God, they know deep down inside that a lot of fans are questioning whether or not Daniel Bryan's even going to win the first match, let alone win the second match or become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. This was a necessary thing, and you could kind of sit there and say, oh, no. And I'll talk more about that in a few moments. One thing that of note that happened during this Raw actually happened on the Twitter sphere. Somebody may have indeed outed himself as Cranky Vince after all. Isn't that right, JBL? That gave me a good laugh for sure. Maybe you should be careful with what you're posting. That's all I can say about that. Another thing that was really well done here was the spotlighting of John Cena and Bray Wyatt and the continuation of their feud. With Bray Wyatt being absolutely on fire here, Cena being a little more serious this time. The dynamics between these two guys are working really, really well for me, which is what I was hoping was going to happen. And Bray Wyatt here was outstanding. Wearing the Cena shirt, talking about Cena going home to his plastic girlfriend because she is plastic. Just look at her tits if you don't believe him. I'm looking forward very much to this match at WrestleMania 30. You don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to do a bunch of intricate bullshit. Just let John Cena be John Cena. Maybe ramp up the seriousness just a little bit as we get closer to Mania. And let Bray Wyatt be the rambling, awesome Bray Wyatt that he fucking is. Outstanding money on the mic, no question about it. Like I said, really ramps up that anticipation for this feud. Now, as far as some people sitting there saying, oh, Cena's just going to win at WrestleMania 30, so what's this all about? You know, with the video package that they did and the different stuff that they're doing, the way they're featuring Bray Wyatt, it really makes me think that worst case scenario, it's going to be one of those things where everybody wins. Bray Wyatt goes over at WrestleMania 30 if they're smart. Cena maybe goes over at Extreme Rules, and then you either end the feud or you have one big blow-off match at the following pay-per-view. That way, everybody gets something, but Bray Wyatt, most importantly, gets the signature victory at a Big 4 pay-per-view. He beat Daniel Bryan 100% clean at the Royal Rumble. Now he needs to beat John Cena 100% clean at WrestleMania. You need to build up Bray Wyatt to be a future WrestleMania opponent for The Undertaker, a future top guy, and that match at Mania could do just that. Another interesting thing that happened on this show to me was the fact that the WWE has maybe kind of reversed course and said, we're not fully ready to break up the Shield just yet. On top of that, we're going to sit there and send him at Kane. Now we're turning the Shield babyface. Now, is this one of these things where they're sucking you in only at WrestleMania to complete the breakup there and have it happen? I don't know. Whatever audible reason for this audible to be called is fine by me, because maybe it's not time to break up the Shield just yet, especially looking at the reaction. I mean, they were getting over pretty much like babyfaces anyways, and if you want to cement Roman Reigns as a babyface and maybe Seth Rollins as a babyface and really cement Dean Ambrose as a heel through the rest of 2014, maybe it's best to unify him here, have him go against Kane, and if Kane's going to team with maybe the other 2 members of the Wyatt family, or maybe they bring up the Ascension for this, or most likely, maybe it'll be the New Age Outlaws, since it seems like they're distancing them away from the Usos and the tag titles. Hey, whatever. I'm down for this. This is one of these examples to me of a good audible. Even if it was just done to get Kane a WrestleMania match, frankly, I don't care. Big news for me coming out of Raw this week, even though it was spoiled earlier in the day on Monday by TMZ because keep in mind, they were fed that information by WWE. Don't get it twisted. They could sit there and report that the WWE is pissed off about the stuff getting leaked. Well, they're the ones that leak this information to TMC. I've seen this up close and personal. Trust me, that's exactly how it goes down. One of the integral key components of WrestleMania ever getting off the ground in the first place, and WrestleMania becoming WrestleMania, and us being able to have a WrestleMania 30 here in 2014, Sunday, April 6th in New Orleans at the Superdome, was Mr. T. This is long overdue. You maybe even could have inducted him as a wrestler. Didn't even necessarily have to be a celebrity. But when you talk about celebrities that you've inducted like Drew Carey and Pete Rose, you know, kind of insignificant nothings in the grand scheme of things from a professional wrestling, sports entertainment, WWE standpoint, Mr. T was huge. And his involvement in WrestleMania 1 and WrestleMania 2 is what really helped take the WWF at the time to a whole different level and brought it all types of mainstream publicity, brought new eyeballs to the product, a lot of those eyeballs that stayed for many years, and is what really brought that certainty that WrestleMania 1 was going to be a huge success, so you could have a WrestleMania 2 and then a WrestleMania 3 in front of 93,173 people. Mr. T was an integral part of all of that, and it's about time. I just hope that it's either going to be Hulk Hogan inducting him or the person I really want to induct him, Roddy Piper. Now that would be something to see. Sometimes it's best to follow that KISS mentality of keep it simple, stupid. Paul Heyman, a video package that continues to put over The Undertaker and his accomplishments, but also kind of needling him in the sense that, you know, he's been around for a long time. He's starting to get old. Father Time is starting to catch up with the dead man. And here comes this beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Again, just another small, subtle thing you could do to keep it simple, stupid, and still amp up the anticipation and the excitement for Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30. Now, I don't think anybody necessarily believes that Brock Lesnar is going to defeat The Undertaker, but they're doing enough to present it in a way where they're putting over The Undertaker in a monster way, and at the same point in time, they're emphasizing that, hey, this is Brock Lesnar, and this is somebody different, even though he just lost to Triple H at WrestleMania 29. Let's forget all that for a second, but they are presenting Brock Lesnar as the most monstrous threat to the Undertaker streak. Again, very, very well done here. They touched on the Andre the Giant Battle Royal with a couple of different matches. Sheamus, Titus O'Neil. You knew Sheamus was going to go over on St. Patrick's Day. And you also knew Sheamus was going to go over because he pretty much goes over on every fucking television match. But at least it wasn't Christian. Now, Christian came after the match and he freaking gave Sheamus a what for. And then later on in the night, you actually had an 8-man tag with guys like Big Show and Mark Henry and Dolph Ziggler, and the other guys were like ADR and Damian Sandow, etc. And this was a solid 8-man tag that was a good television match that the crowd really got into. And you've heard people like Terry Taylor in the past say the only pop that matters is the pop at the end of a match. Well, by God, Big Show got a huge pop when he won at the end of this match. And two things I want to talk about here with this Andre the Giant 30-man Battle Royal. Three things, excuse me. Number one, with all the people involved, I hope to God this isn't the pre-show match. It has no business being the pre-show match. You revealed it like it's one of your featured attractions. It would be ridiculous if the WWE put this on the pre-show. Number two, in terms of people that I want to win it, I would have absolutely no problem with the Big Show winning it. And the reason being is this is a guy that's put up with a lot of crap, a lot of trash, a lot of garbage from the WWE over the years. This, to me, would make up for having to have a sumo wrestling match against Akibono at WrestleMania 21. This would make up for them making him look stupid against Floyd Money Mayweather at WrestleMania 24. Big Show deserves it. It almost would feel right, especially if there's no like future title shot or any other important stipulations other than the trophy. Why can't a Big Show win it? I think it's a sign of respect, and it's kind of a thing of thanks for all of your years of loyal, dedicated service to the WWE, 15 years and going now. I would have absolutely no problem with it. And the third thing, you know, as I was watching that 8-man tag last night, and they were talking about the 30-man Battle Royal, I realized something. Technically, since it's a Battle Royal and it's every man for himself kind of in all things go, Sheamus is in it, Mark Henry's in it. That means Sheamus and Mark Henry are technically wrestling each other at WrestleMania 30. Might not be the plans that I had envisioned or the plans that somebody else ultimately would have envisioned in an ideal world, but I'm not going to complain much because, by God, at the end of the day, the WWE gave me what I truly, truly wanted, and I am very thankful for that. I appreciate it. I don't think they have any idea just how much. There was some other stuff on this show of note. You had the Divas tag with Naomi coming back with the bedazzled eye patch. God We want to talk about Stephanie going into bitch mode being fappable because it is. Naomi, I don't care, eye patch or not, I still put babies in that bitch. I'll show you where the bedazzle comes from. Oh, fucking outstanding. It's good to see her back, and I hope she actually gets a title shot against AJ at WrestleMania 30. Longest reigning Divas champ that is completely inconsequential to the company, mind you. You talk about that because of her boyfriend and his status, it doesn't matter. It's just the bottom line is they have, in effect, sort of kind of buried AJ a little bit on Raw by either not featuring her or featuring her in an insignificant way, having her lose almost all of her television matches. And, you know, they have the Bellas out there. If they're going to involve them, just have all the Divas get a WrestleMania payout and appearance by having some type of gauntlet match or massive tag match. Whatever you want to do is fine. One thing, though, with the 30-man Battle Royal, maybe it's a good idea to keep Fandango away from Goldust. Ooh. Goldust not happy. Johnny Bocci won too many times, and Dustin Runnels not very pleased with him. But ultimately, everybody knows that this show will be about one thing, and that was Daniel Bryan and Triple H. And like I said, there was enough throughout this show to entertain me throughout. This was a very fun show to sit through, a very fun show to watch. You know, even the Daniel Bryan-Randy Orton match halfway through, yeah, we've seen that a lot, so I guess I'm okay with it now, that fact that it was kind of in the middle of the show. Maybe it's an inference to me that they view Triple H as the bigger reason that the ratings are up during the Daniel Bryan segments than Daniel Bryan, but hey, it is what it is. So we get to the main event here. The big face-off, the big showdown between Triple H and Daniel Bryan. And this was awesome. This was genius. This shows you right here that you don't have to be TV 14. You don't have to be Attitude Era to make good, compelling television, because this did it right here. And I love the setup with this. I knew something was up the whole time, especially when Triple H was actually going out of his way to not bury Daniel Bryan. In fact, maybe unshovel some of the dirt that he's thrown on Daniel Bryan on screen since SummerSlam. I'm like, nah, something ain't adding up here. He's about to get his ass whooped. And then when Stephanie comes out and starts yelling and screaming at Triple H, I'm like, oh, you motherfuckers. Not only is Stephanie sexy and fucking hot doing that shit, but I knew something was up. And then as the security guards are around there and the officers are around there and they put Daniel Bryan in the handcuffs, I see Triple H. I don't know if everybody else saw this or not. I saw that big smirk he had. I'm like, oh, shit. Praise God! And what he proceeded to do was beat the ever-loving piss out of Daniel Bryan for many, many minutes. Some of you were saying, why did we need so much overrun? It's a fucking God segment. It was ending the show. It's his WrestleMania match. You don't think you're going to get all this time for God? He's God. He's going to get all the overrun he deems necessary and then some. And this was a great way not to bury Daniel Bryan. Nah, shut up. This was a great way to get heat on Triple H and Stephanie McMahon and stop this BS of them sitting there and trying to play the fence and straddle the fence and go one side or the other depending on which way the wind blows. They're going all in, and they're finally going to be all the way heel. And now Daniel Bryan is like the ultimate face, and what it does is it makes you feel like you want to pay money to watch Daniel Bryan, if nothing else, at least beat the shit out of Triple H. And maybe that's the whole focus here, is to take focus away from Daniel Bryan and the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and focus it more on Daniel Bryan and Triple H, and make that the WrestleMania moment for Daniel Bryan where he beats a Triple H. But then I sit there and I think about it, and I say, you know, Vince McMahon had Batista win the Royal Rumble for a reason. And Vince McMahon is an incredibly stubborn man. And I still believe at this very moment that his plans are to have Batista walk out of WrestleMania 30 as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. So does Vince McMahon kind of troll everybody and do something different and catch everybody off guard? The reason that he made this stipulation where Triple H, if he beats Daniel Bryan, gets in the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match is because that's where he's going to go? He's going to continue to give Daniel Bryan some obstacles? Is he going to then, as a result, because he wants to send Batista off on a babyface direction still, he wasn't ready to turn Batista heel yet, he inserts Triple H into that match? Because if Triple H beats Daniel Bryan, you know, fuck a Batista, fuck an Orton, the biggest heel that night is easily going to be Triple H. And as a result, a Batista or Orton, if either one of them beat a Triple H, would actually get some type of a babyface pop. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm not saying it's certain. I'm just saying it's a possibility that I think Vince is prepared for. Vince may be thinking about, that some of us need to be prepared for and be thinking about too. For all we know, Triple H could end up being the WWE World Heavyweight Champion at the end of WrestleMania 30. Don't eliminate that possibility, too. Cena's got 14 title reigns. You think Triple H is satisfied with 13? He might want a 14th one, especially if you're going to make it where Daniel Bryan ends up beating Triple H down the road to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. We shall see. I thought it was funny that throughout the night, the WWE said, nah, fuck this. We're going to do all these veiled type of references to CM Punk being a punk bitch and taking his ball and going home. He can't show up in Chicago, but he can sit there and show up for a Talking Dead episode. They're mocking him with Batista leaving with his bag, which I wonder if Randy Orton pooped in it before he left, and then he came back. You have Triple H talk about taking the ball and go home. Hey, we're blasting CM Punk subliminally, if you caught it or not, all throughout the fucking night. We just added to this show to me. This felt like Vince and Triple H and Stephanie and the WWE were on point this week. And this show, if nothing else, was a lot of fun to watch. Ramped up my excitement level and anticipation for WrestleMania 30. Made it feel like WrestleMania 30. And made me incredibly eager to see where they go with that show just a few weeks from now. Well done by the WWE this week, in my opinion.